You can't do all your research on the internet.
No,
You've got to actually get out
gotta
there
get
in the
out
field
there.
and do it.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. But you also, though, with the overload of information, in the past, well, even today with me, you'll get a new piece of information and instinctually you'll dismiss it. But then the time will go on and something will happen, or you'll hear about something, or you'll discover something which kind of validates what you initially thought was nonsense. And that's happened to me a couple of times where like a new theory or a new story has come out and I'm like, oh, that's bullshit. But then 6 months later, something else will come out. Well, wait a second. And I'll go back and reevaluate and find out that maybe what I thought was bullshit initially might not be. What do you think, Miles?
Yeah, I concur completely. I think actually we're going to need to go back to private meetings. I mean, this is something with the anti-fracking movement. They did it with little public meetings, with small meetings all across the country. They didn't have a leader, so to speak. They didn't have an organization, and I think they stayed off the internet. And that's something which we're going to have to, I think, go back to. In fact, I think we're going to have to go back to packet radio. In the old days, a lot of the radio amateurs were simply setting up hubs. So these bulletin boards, people could comment on that, and they were transmitting shortwave radio all over the world. And not being, in fact, that is one of the best ways of uploading material to the internet these days. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to be found, you get somebody with packet radio. You could be sitting in the middle of the desert somewhere. You have a shortwave transmission system or anywhere, and then that accesses a hub or a port somewhere else, but the actual data can be transmitted from halfway across the planet on shortwave.
Yeah, that's
it might take you an hour to send that data, but it's the way to do it.
My prediction is over the next 20 to 30 years, a lot of people who are into the things that we're into and want to get information out without being tracked or monitored or whatever, we're going to go back to using 8-bit and 16-bit computers. We're going to be scouring the internet on eBay and the like to buy these older machines, because these older machines that you can connect to the internet via Wi-Fi or whatever, you can't insert a cookie onto these machines. You can't track, you can't access them because the hardware is so ancient. As a communication tool, while it's slow and clunky and not the easiest thing in the world to use, it's a tool that can be used without being your data being harvested. Whereas if you use any kind of modern computer with a modern operating system, the minute you connect it to the internet, they got you.
This is an important.
Well, guess I mean that's what. What's his name? The internet guy, the guy who hacked into or simply walked straight in to the defense.
Gary
McKinnon.
Gary McKinnon.
Yeah.
He did it all on a dial-up modem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I really do think that you do need to keep those cassette recorders, keep your analog technology, and transfer things using cassette tape as we started this conversation, so that it's easy to get stuff copied. And definitely not anywhere near a computer, because computers have a consciousness. And for those kids who are waking up, these brilliant young kids, they're telepathic. They're able to work in the so-called astral domain, and that's where the real deal is going to be, in that domain with those kids.
Go ahead, Ben. You were going to say something.
I was going to say this is an important point you guys have brought up, which is it's not just about information problems and things like that, which I mentioned. It's about the role of government surveillance and indeed the attack on free speech, which is the feature of the increasing authoritarianism online that we see at the moment. More and more there are restrictions on what people are allowed to say, and the consequences for saying certain things online are very, very severe. Miles and I have found this out ourselves personally. Now,
it never happened to me, Ben. Never happened to me.
Oh, of course.
I don't know what you're on.
Oh no, sorry, I wasn't meant to say that. But the local meetup group is again, it gets around this problem because it's private. It's private, and it's like one of the old and they call them speakeasies. They're actually just unlicensed bars, but they're called that because anyone could turn up there. You could actually where the criminals used to meet and stuff like this. But of course, we're not. Thing is, once free speech becomes a crime, we become criminals, and that unfortunately is again another thing where I think not only are we going to see the new development of maybe new systems based on old technology. I don't think old computers will literally be snapped up, but it could be that someone will start adapting these particular systems as you've described, using this kind of technology into basically back engineering them into the new world. But that's something we can see. Indeed, we already see the emergence of lots of websites. I'm a member of some of them, which are run not by hosts but by peer-to-peer systems, and also blockchain systems.
Yep,
Now this is what you get with Bitcoin.
Right.
Now,
Could you explain what you just said a little bit more there?
These are
I think that's very interesting.
Yep, these are systems which do not rely on hosts, www hosts and things like that. So it makes them far not only cheaper to run, it makes them more secure. It makes them they're much harder to censor. Indeed, the blockchain ones are essentially indelible. And indeed, when you go into these systems, it's not just Bitcoin and that. You see things such as social media sites, sharing sites, and things like that, which very much a lot of these are set up by refugees from mainstream social media. People who've been banned from Facebook and Twitter and YouTube.